How's it going, doggy people? I hope you all are doing well. I've been requested to look at a video of Beckman's dog, the Doberman Prince, and what I think of the interaction between Prince when he's quote-unquote teaching another dog. The thumbnail of this video says alpha and who's in charge and blah blah blah. So it says, out of control pit bull gets pinned by Prince, rough and tumble session. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's a good demo dog. You know, I want my demo dog to be respectful, more so respectful than the other dog. I mean, there's times when we need to limit them and take them apart and this and that, but, I mean, I used Adonis for the longest time as my dog that would help rehabilitate other dogs with aggression, dogs that have been attacked and this and that. And there were some dogs that needed a little ego check. They would just, ignore calming signals and all that, and Adonis was super patient, and finally, when he had enough, he would give him a little snap in the ear, and then they said, okay. And he said, back off, and then there you go. So, there's that too, but I would never allow him to just go out of his way to chase a dog and pin him down. Never. Because I don't think that's very helpful for this dog. For any dog, anyway. So we're going to be looking at this video of this out-of-control pitty, apparently, getting pinned by this Doberman. And I'm going to be giving my point of view and a voice to the dogs and just trying to point out, from a dog's point of view, what this looks like.
You're going to see a crazy session, 2 female out-of-control 1-year-old dogs. I'm going to use exercise and impulse control to calm them down. I'm going to explain
look like
to
they're
you
pretty,
how to use exercise.
He looks like he's getting a little bit much for the pitty.
Impulse control to calm your own crazy dogs down.
But they seem to be reciprocating. So let's start.
This dog has a serious impulse control issue, and this is the beginning of fixing that.
Jesus, dude.
She says, I want to go over there.
She says, I want to get away from this freakazoid who is hurting me and scaring me. Even if he's not hurting her, let's say he's not hurting her, which is just baloney. He's scaring her, and he's creating this want to run away, and he always says, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Dude, you're an idiot. You should care. I would care. I would be all up in your face. I mean, I wouldn't be here, but even if I didn't know anything about training, I would be, irate.
Can't go over there. She says, yeah, but I pull my mom down the street every time.
She doesn't say that. Stop trying to anthropomorphize this to make a case for your ignorance and your utter ignorance. And you worked with whales where you couldn't just do this with a whale. He's worked with other animals that he couldn't do this with. So now he works with the animals that aren't going to fight back, that he can do it with. And he tries to use this as an example or an excuse for his just blatant ignorance that he just does not care. He's going to do what he wants to do, and because he can get away with it, he will. And people love this.
On a leash, and I say, those days are over. You have to say, those days are over.
Okay, if you're going to be using a correction, you should stop. You're supposed to. The theory behind it is if you use a correction, after 2 or 3 corrections, the behavior does not change, you need to change what you're doing. By him just over and over and over and over again. It's like borderline abuse. I mean, this dog is not like crying or anything, but it's just insanity. It's unnecessary. And he's here, cool guy with his sunglasses, gives the dog nothing other than pain compliance, learned helplessness, which he thinks is necessary for a recall. This poor little pitty is just idiotic.
Every time she leaves me, I'm pulling her back.
And these dogs are very sensitive. I've worked with so many pitties, and they're very soft dogs. Like, yeah, they can be very, hardcore when they see prey drive and they get into a fight, but when you're working with them as far as training, they're very soft dogs. You try this with a Malinois, they don't care. I mean, I'm sure they do, but, they don't shut down. Like, a Malinois is a very hard dog, which is why a lot of these trainers have them, because you can use prong and e-collars on them all day long, and they don't do anything. I mean, they don't show the slightest bit of nervousness or anxiety.
And she goes, well...
And then he just pins her head. What the hell was that about? What is wrong with you, dude?
Days are over. Every time she leaves me, I'm pulling her back.
Then she goes there, and then he pins her head. Why? What was the purpose of this?
And she goes, well, I'll try this. And I go, no, that's not going to work for you either. This is the way to do when you have these out of control.
So I'm assuming that's the owner and their little friend, their little doggy friend, their partner. I assume, I don't know, they said they had 2. And that would be really the only reason I would think would be that much of a draw of this dog to go towards besides, a strange dog. But
overstimulated, under socialized.
So now she's starting to shut down. This is fear. She's looking at the camera person. She's in a new environment. Jesus, dude.
Super high energy dogs.
Poor thing.
And I'm going to go over everything.
And he's going to sneak away and pop her again.
So now look at her. Walking well.
That doesn't mean anything. That just means that you've given her, I don't even know how many corrections. Let's go back and count. And then we'll get into how she plays with Prince. So we don't even know how long she's been here. From this point, we're going to count.
Impulse control
so
issue. And
1,
this is the beginning of fixing
2,
that.
3,
she says, I want to go over there. I say,
5,
you can't go over there. She
6,
says, yeah, but I pull my
7,
mom down the street
8,
every time I'm on a
9,
leash. And I say, those
10,
days are over.
11,
you have to say,
12,
those days
13,
are over.
14.
Every time she leaves me, I'm pulling her back and then creating
This could be considered 1 for 15 because the dog is freaking out, clearly.
And she goes, well, I'll try this. And I go,
16,
no, that's not
17, 18,
this
19.
This is the way to do when you have these
19
out of control,
corrections.
Overstimulated, under-socialized.
19 corrections that we saw on camera to get
super high energy dogs.
This dog walking, quote unquote, nicely.
Do. So now look at her. Walking well, walking great. I barely
walking great. What did he say?
To the dog. The dog. So now look at her. Walking well, walking great. I barely corrected the dog.
Are you serious? Do we need to go back and count? I'll say the number in case anybody missed it. 19 corrections that we saw on camera. 19. And what did he just say?
So now look at her. Walking well, walking great. I barely corrected the dog.
You corrected her at least 19 times.
The dogs corrected themselves. They're the one.
That dog did not correct itself. This is you pulling, you pulling, you pulling, you pulling, you pulling. The dog is not correcting itself. You are the one using that force. Crock of baloney. So now we have him out here playing.
For the buck, and it impacted those dogs' brain deep in their brain. Thing that you need to the dogs. The dogs corrected themselves. No, they're the ones who are on a leash and just leaving me.
No, they're not just leaving you. I mean, okay, let me explain it from the dog's point of view. Why would they stay with you? Because, 1, you're a stranger. They don't have any draw to you. 2, you corrected this dog 19 times. After any harsh correction, I'm getting the hell away from you. You don't have anything other than pain and discomfort and scariness with me. Why the hell would I want to stay with you other than learned helplessness or to avoid correction? I stay with you because I have to. Not because I want to. And the dog, I mean, any dog, I am okay if any dog leaves me. Even my own dog, okay? I will say even if my own Shiba leaves my side and walks 20 feet in front of me on a long line, I don't care. Because he walks faster than me. There's more interesting things for him. He lives with me 24/7. So, any room I go to, within 5 minutes, he'll join me and just go to sleep in there. And I'll move into another room. 5 minutes later, he'll join me in there. I know he loves me, and I love him to death, and I'm okay with him not being with me 24/7. Stop being a control freak. I mean, Jesus, like your dog can't walk 2 feet in front of you without getting a pop? The dog keeps leaving me, so that's why they get corrected. No dog would naturally think within 20 corrections, oh, I should stay with this guy. I mean, no dog is naturally going to go up to a stranger, you give them the leash, and they just stay there.
I added about 2 inches of a correction, but it was timed correction.
2 inches of a correction, but it's with leverage. He says 2 inches, pulling the leash back 2 inches, but there's force behind that. Over. There's leverage.
Every time she leaves me, I'm pulling her back and then creating a loose leash.
And then he locks her head in for whatever odd reason.
That's not gonna work for you.
Leverage.
This is the way to do when you...
Jesus, dude. So let's get in here where she's playing with Prince.
Dogs.
So she's really tired out. I hope that he would have some water out here for these dogs because I think it's very important. She's showing, a wide spatulate tongue. Probably needs some water. They've been running around a lot.
I'm not talking about walking your dog. Walking your dog's great. You gotta do it. It's good for desensitization and all that other stuff.
And bond. And exercise. And mental stimulation if you let them sniff.
The bigger thing is real exercise. So here's the other dog.
Now, for me, real exercise is mental. And for me, I get that by going on a regular walk and letting them sniff things. I'm not saying like every time you walk, it's only sniffing. You can go on a sniff walk, or it's called a sniffari. You know, you can give them a little puzzle to work on, you know, where they work for a portion of their food. They should be able to enjoy their food too. You know, or teach them something new. I always say if it's between mental and physical stimulation to tire a dog out, always go mental, because you can do a lot less. You can do 30 minutes of training, anything, you know, standing outside, standing next to a boat the dog's never been to, you know, teaching the dog to swim or paddleboard or whatever, you know, hiding Easter eggs in the yard, all that for 30 minutes versus a 2-hour outing. I think your dog is going to be much more tired. Think about it. If you go to a 4-hour lecture and you listen to me talk and yammer for 4 hours, you're going to be done. Versus if you go to the gym for an hour and a half, you get pumped up and you're ready to go. Same thing with our dogs.
Is real down to the bones exercise.
Okay, and so if you only ever exercise the dog, you know, like, they're going to be in really good shape and they're going to require that much exercise. Like, I mean, yes, these guys have a lot of energy, but use that for behavior and not, I mean, they can have like rough and tumble sessions. I'm not against that at all, but if you only play, you know, a lot of times the people who have the dogs in the park and they throw the ball for them, they do that. You know, they walk to the park with their dog, pulling like crazy, pulling like mad, and then they throw the ball for 20 minutes, the dog tires out that way, and then they're walking fine on leash. And it's because they're relying on the dog physically being tired to be able to walk on a leash. They're not actually taking care of the problem at hand of teaching your dog and mentally working with them to learn how to walk on a loose leash on their own, or with you, you know, without using corrections, without having to be tired out.
They do not get enough exercise at all. Okay, I'm not going to go into the client's
Okay, so this dog here is actually rolling over on his side. Prince is kind of going for the back of his neck already, you know, as they were running around. So that's kind of you could say a sign that he's trying to assert himself or show dominance or trying to get the dog to go down. So that I'd be kind of careful of. I want the dogs to be playing, you know, equally, you know, equal give and take. And if it's just one dog that's always going for it, then I would say, okay, buddy, you need to, you know, I'm gonna step in here. But this dog is actually, I believe, I don't know if it's still, the term is still used, but handicapping himself, where they go, you know, whether this is submission or he rolls over and he gets, you know, the top hand, and then later on in play, then he will roll over on his own and he gets the upper hand. So I don't know if that, I mean, I don't mean for that term to be offensive by any means, just from what I have learned in the past, that's what they called it, was the dog will handicap themselves. But I'll try to refrain from using that if anybody finds that offensive in any way. Of course, I do apologize.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so he actually is doing this out of submission, not necessarily out of like a equal play. So that already kind of bothers me that he was playing and having a good time. He seemed pretty respectful from what I could see. They're just, we'll go back here and watch.
Down to the bones.
So he comes in.
These two.
He's watching already.
They do not get.
He wants to. Okay, so this guy's just running and playing and having fun. He's immediately saying, "No, I'm going to put you down. I'm in charge." Okay, blah blah blah.
I'm not going to go into
so
client's life.
I don't like that for me, especially if he's the demo dog. Typical, you know, like Doberman mentality versus a pity mentality. You know, more of like a fun guy and more of a serious guy. So if that happened and this guy was really just running around, I feel like that was an unnecessary correction, or he's asserting himself. Like, dogs are going to do that, but with my dog, and I'm raising you to work with other dogs, you're not going to do that unnecessarily unless it was warranted. This guy was not being rude. He was, you know, it's one thing if it's being rude or if you're on your own, obviously. But when a human gets involved, like, I want to be able to make everybody feel safe and comfortable.
They don't get enough exercise, okay?
Good, so he's trying to run away and play. He's going back at it again. I would call Prince off. If he were my dog, I'd say, hey, you knock it off. Leave him alone. I see what you're doing. You're trying to be macho and blah, blah, blah. You know, and yeah, they don't understand all that talk, but I'd be like, hey, cool it. Like, I'm positive, but I still put limits on my dogs. You know, it doesn't mean I'm going to go chuck a shoe at him or something. But, you know, and Adonis has done that, where sometimes, you know, it's one thing if they tell a dog off, they snap, and then that's it. But if they snap and they continue and continue and continue, then I'd say, okay, that's too much. Like, you made your point, move on. And these may not be good, suitable playmates, and that's fine. Your dog doesn't have to be friends with everybody. This dog here is just so used to being in charge of everything because Beckman allows him to get away with that, because Beckman wants that. Beckman reinforces that. He also has really good control over his dog, but that he's not using it at this point, which I would if it were my dog.
Be all over them. Be pinning them. Why did I let it go? Is it because it's great? It doesn't matter. They don't get enough exercise. Okay? So you're going to.
So I'm listening to what he's saying.
Be like this with them. Be all over them. Be pinning them. Why did I let it go? Is it because it's great for Prince to pin them? It's not aggressive. And there's some sexual energy in the air, which makes things a little crazy.
I mean, unless that other female is a female in heat. A lot of times, if he's going to be talking about mounting and humping and all that, that's out of excitement. Or it can be a trying to assert dominance, but not necessarily out of just sexual tension. Now, if this dog is used to getting it on it, bullying everybody and getting on everybody's case, then I would be okay with him getting a taste of his own medicine. But I don't want to keep it up. It has to be very specific moments. I would use Adonis for that. But of course, we still want to keep it safe. This dog readily submitted to him when he rolled over by himself. That's what submission is. It's not just forcibly rolling something, alpha roll. This guy submitted on his own. Okay, call Prince away. If he gets in his face again, we'll see how he handles that.
But I let him do it because they needed it, right? And I could have stopped him any time from.
And I'm not saying that this is overly aggressive or either way. The dogs are not in the wrong. It's the humans that have reinforced this behavior, allowed this behavior, so on and so forth. I'm not blaming the dogs. I'm just saying the dogs don't. This is just behaviors they've learned and been reinforced or haven't been reinforced for, or haven't been stopped from doing.
Chasing them and pinning them, but he's doing it, I think, because he knows they need it.
No, the dog doesn't know that they need it unless it's an irritant to him. He's not some magical being. And I don't know why he's on leash now while she's here. That's going to make matters worse. He's going to feel trapped. He's going to be more reactive. And then if Prince comes over and corrects him while he's leashed, it's just stupid. But dogs will interact how they've learned to interact with other dogs. If another dog gets in his face and he snaps at them and they leave him alone, he's going to learn, okay, that's how I get dogs out of my face. If he continues to chase them and then he's just constantly bullying them, he's going to learn that. Or if he gets in another dog's face and vice versa, he doesn't just know that dogs need this. He only knows, what he sees, what he interacts with.
Because
Ouch.
I just let it go.
Ouch.
But it's the best.
Dude, don't have your dog on a leash like this with off-leash dogs. It's dangerous, and especially choking and popping and...
For them. They have to get this fast twitch energy out of their muscles. And we had to go big today. We need big solutions because both these dogs are out of control.
From what I've seen, they do not look anything out of control. They look very controllable. He always makes everything so much bigger than it actually is. Maybe it's to compensate for his ignorance. I don't know.
Out of control. Like your dog's at home. Out of control.
So again, he's kind of pushing her a little bit. She's trying to be playful, get away.
No, the answer is not sits and stays and downs.
And then he gets over him while he's already on a leash. I would have him back off because you know what? He's not doing anything right now. He's on a leash. Leave him alone.
It's not e-collars. It's none of that stuff.
No, but it's bullying behavior. He gets away with it. He gets a higher ego. And dogs can have that. And again, it's not, the dog is not a bad dog. But it's just, he can have bad behavior. So I don't like this. I wouldn't allow this, especially not with this dog leash, because it can go from, a pissing contest to a real fight real quickly if this dog feels trapped. And luckily, he's a very respectful dog. He says, hey, no problem. I don't want any fight here. He's putting up with his mouth closes.
Their energy.
And then he wants to put his paws on him, so I don't know if he told him off or not, but he did. He moves away. Oh, look at that little face. And again, Prince is I'm sure a great dog. Like, I'm not putting this on Prince. I'm just saying this is behavior that I don't think is necessary.
Almost a mount
for
right
this
there.
dog. I've been with dogs that are just like constantly in your face, in your face, in your face, and sometimes they need a dog to tell them off. And most of the time, it's just a snap or a bark, and the dog is like, whoa, okay, I got it. I will never allow a dog to, if I'm worried about them, then they'll both have muzzles on. Basket muzzles. And then if anybody, tries to go for somebody else, then okay, we can separate and we can try again.
But I just let Prince go nuts with these guys. These dogs are significantly changed.
Ouch.
Look at that dog. That dog goes, yeah, I'm on a leash,
Ouch.
but it means nothing to me. I just go where I want to go, and it's the first
No,
time.
he doesn't. Stop saying that. This dog is now showing stress signals. He doesn't necessarily know that he's on a leash, then he doesn't know how long it is. He sees a dog running, he forgets he's on leash, he wants to go for the dogs, and he gets corrected.
Ever that the dogs
Ouch. It's not even fair to that dog.
Held back when they want to get somewhere. And I did this
Ouch.
the whole session. I let one dog play with
Jesus.
Prince, and then I make...
And you can do this at a distance where the dog does not feel, and on a harness too, where the dog is not going to feel the need. You can work your way up to this. But either way, it's just not necessary. Like, how often are you going to have one dog on leash and other loose dogs running around? You're not going into a dog park like that, and if you are, it's very dangerous.
The other one hold itself back. Eventually, they give up, and they go, okay, I'm on a leash. Now, look at this one.
I would rather them learn on their own that, hey, I can have impulse control without you having to manhandle me and hold me back. And I can do that by teaching them, without ever having to yank on them. But he can't. He has to rely on the leash. And I'm not saying that because, I'm better and whatnot. It's just the method, using positive reinforcement, reinforcing behaviors you want, you can get so much further than you can with just corrections and yank and crank and all this nonsense.
Going, I'm on a leash, but I feel like going down there. And I go, well...
Ouch.
Nope. Well,
no. No, he's not saying, I feel like going down there because I'm on a leash. He's saying, I'm trying to get away from this dude. God, this poor thing.
He goes, yeah, but
Ouch.
I always go where I want to go. And I go,
submissive tail wag, blah, blah, blah. He's not saying, I always go where I want to go. This dog is just licking her lips, just looking at this woman.
It's hard to me.
Fearful.
It's hard for
now
me
he's
to tell
dragging
you
him
how
forward.
little I care that a dog says,
Ouch.
yeah, but I want to get to that
Ouch.
place. And I go, yeah, it doesn't matter. You have to have... Why am I always, sound all, hardcore and I don't...
Because you're a control freak.
care. You know
and
what?
you're ignorant. And in my opinion, you're just an idiot.
It's because I'm trying to impart this attitude on you guys.
Well, don't impart it on me. Okay, here's how you impart that behavior on me. I don't care what you think, dude. I only care about what the dogs think. I think you're an idiot. I think you're a dangerous trainer.
You guys need to...
They don't need to do anything.
A little bit up to where I am. Hence, you guys need to get a little bit up to where I am. Hence, I have to be you gotta be this way, you gotta be...
So you're saying people need to care less about their animals, about their well-being, about their emotional state. Care less, and yeah, it's easy to correct a dog that way. It's easy to even abuse an animal if you don't care about them as a sentient being that has emotions and a mental state of mind and fear. It's easy to just yank them like that.
I'm exasperated to some degree. These dogs pull so much. I mean, this is a 10-minute video. It's an hour session. This is probably 30 minutes into the session already. I just show you everything, and there's some boring parts and whatnot. So
now they're going back and forth. He's trying to get him, and
Prince is going to go nuts. And
pin him and roll him
watch
down.
How happy they are when they get up. Look at them. They're like, we love it.
I wouldn't necessarily say that he loves that. I mean, he's playing. He's still, playing back. But he you can tell when he calms down to see, hey, is this dude going to be serious? Is it going to play?
Pent up energy and mental stimulation. And
I mean, he got him on the cheek. Good, very good. So there, he shook off and he mirrored it. So he's saying, okay, let's calm down. And he said, okay, I got it. Perfect. These guys know exactly what they're doing. They don't need the human involved. I mean, again, dogs are going to be dogs when we're not involved. But we can also set them up for failure because we're involved.
Look, even if Prince walked away, they would be jumping on him to go, let's do this more. Let's do this more. Let's do this more. They love it. They love it. These are pits. She's a pit mix. The other one's pit. These dudes essentially don't feel pain.
Oh, don't give me that nonsense. Don't use that as an excuse so that people now can go abuse their animals. If they don't feel pain, why are they following you on the leash? That is the stupidest excuse I've ever heard, because now people are going to say, oh, I can use a shock collar on my dog. I can use a prong collar. They don't feel it. So-and-so said they basically don't feel pain. You're an idiot. Even if they don't feel it physically, which is nonsense, they have an emotional state of mind. They're much softer than maybe even this Doberman or a Malinois or other certain breeds. So anyway, this video will have gone on long enough, but that's just my point of view. So I hope you got something from it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, you can, like or dislike or subscribe or not, whatever you would like to do. At least, the very least, if you do have any little critters, go give them some loving for me. However, that they prefer to have loving, because not everything likes to be hugged or kissed. You can give them a little air kiss for me. So have a good day. Have a good night. Until next time, stay positive.